Welcome to the Airgun Show. In this week's episode, I'm going to be taking a look at the awesome new Safari edition of the Daystate Huntsman Revere. But before that, just a bit of a change from the usual, I'm going to be using a break barrel airgun on my grey squirrel control rounds. Right, I'm back out in the woods on my grey squirrel control duties today. Now, the feeding station that I'm going to be targeting has been in position for quite a long time now, and I have shot a lot of squirrels from it, and the situation is now that they are definitely and noticeably in decline, so the intention is now that I'm really just picking off the odd few stragglers. One interesting thing that is happening at this feeder, and slightly frustrating too, is that in spite of the fact that there are significantly fewer squirrels coming to it, the feed is still going down very quickly, and that is simply because songbirds have been raiding the peanuts from it. Now, as much as I like to see songbirds thriving in the woods and using my feeders, there comes a point at which it gets quite expensive, especially if you're feeding peanuts. So what I've done is just tried to slow them down a little bit. I've got a feeding station. The one I'm using is made by Squirrel Management UK, and they actually supply a hinged lid that you can fit on the top of the feed outlet. The way that works is that it tends to be too heavy for most of the smaller, certainly smaller songbirds to lift, but the squirrels still learn to lift, they learn to lift it and can still feed from it. So it does appear to be working. The peanuts are now going down much more slowly, but I am seeing squirrels there, so clearly they know how to use that lid. They're still turning up, they're still getting shot, so it's doing the job. Now, the gun that I'm using today is quite a change from the norm. Now, I use PCPs for the bulk of my shooting, but I was really impressed with the performance of the Gamo Swarm Roadster Gen 2 when I tested it on the range a while back. So I thought I'd take it out on my pest control rounds just to show that you don't have to have incredibly expensive kit to target pests. Now, I don't do a lot of shooting with break barrel recoiling airguns, but I have done a fair amount of practice with this one, and I'm confident that with the feeding station little more than 20 meters away from my hide, we are, the gun and I, both up to the task. Now, at around £269 with a zoom scope, this is, you know, a pretty affordable setup, and the thing that I really like about it is the multi-shot magazine, which is really exceptional on a break barrel airgun, and it just means that you've got those follow-up shots quickly ready to hand without having to fumble around in your pockets. It's also nice because the magazine sits flat and in a horizontal position, so it's not in the way of the sight. So that's the kit. I can't really show you what it does by sitting here talking, so we're going to get into the hide and see what's around. Well, there you go. The peanut consumption is slowing down thanks to that lid, but the ever resourceful woodpeckers are still having a very good go at them. One thing that's very noticeable here, the wind is blowing pretty hard this afternoon. It's really crashing through the treetops, but the spot I've chosen, and it's more luck than judgment today, because obviously we didn't know which way the wind would be blowing. I certainly didn't want to build the hide, but we're on the lee side of the slope, so the area that I'm actually sat in is very, very sheltered. So thankfully I don't have to contend with this wind when I'm working out, lining up for my shots. Well, there is one to the Gamo. That squirrel certainly knew how to open the lid on the feeder, and it was also kind enough to settle and offer me a really nice clear shot. Now you'll notice that I am using sticks today, but you have to be careful if you use a recoiling airgun like this one, because when you lean them on different surfaces, the recoil can kick in different ways, so that can obviously shift the point of impact downrange. Now the way to get around that is, as I did then, is to place your hand between the top of the rest and the stock of the gun, and then the gun is being cradled in the same way that I've zeroed it and been practicing with it, and the recoil behaves in exactly the same way. Now it is worth making sure, so obviously I've been practicing from this position with these sticks in the garden, and as you can see, it is bang on target. A robin at the feeder that time, and it wasn't actually taking peanuts. It looked to me like it was pecking at scraps that had been left behind either by the woodpeckers or the squirrels, so I think we can still regard that lid as a success. Bit of a dangler that time. Now I have explained many times before that does often happen with headshot squirrels. They just clench up, get a grip of the feeder, hang there for a while. They're usually completely stone dead. I'm sure that one was. It made a bit of a mess of the feeder, but I'm sure it was dead as soon as that pellet hit it in the head. Now the nice thing is, obviously, with this gun, broke the barrel, recocked it. It was automatically very quickly reloaded by the magazine. The quick follow-up shot was there, ready, had I needed it, but in that instance it really wasn't necessary. I don't know if the camera caught it, but there was also a woodpecker around that feeder just as the squirrel turned up, but certainly didn't hang around for very long. Well, I think we'll wrap it up now, because in all honesty the last hour has been incredibly quiet, with the exception of the woodpecker, which is determined to get itself a few peanuts. Now it has been quiet as I expected, and we've shot 2 grey squirrels and they all count, and it's actually, you know, it's a modest bag, but it's actually a really good sign, because it's a clear indicator that the squirrels in this area have really declined. So it shows that what I've been doing here has been working, and what will happen very soon is I will now move this feeding station onto another spot, and we'll start over again and no doubt start shooting some bigger bags in a fresh area. I absolutely loved getting back out with a break barrel airgun. Next up though, it's back to the PCPs and I'm taking a look at the new Safari edition of the Daystate Huntsman Revere. Well, I think the Daystate Huntsman Revere is one of the best looking airguns on the market, and now I reckon it's even better looking. This is the Safari edition, which features a fantastic new stock and retails for £1,220 at sub 12 foot-pounds and £1,370 for the high power versions. Right, so let's take a closer look at this stock. Now, rather than the smooth finish that most of us will expect with a wooden stock, the Safari handle has a raised grain, rough cut look and feel to it. Now, apart from being really distinctive, that also results in a very grippy stock. But Daystate have further embellished the Safari handle with crisp patches of stippling on the underside of the forend and on both sides of the pistol grip. The stock has been treated to what Daystate describes as an ink finish. Now, it looks significantly darker than your typical airgun stock, and it really helps to blend it in with the countryside. Now, that textured, almost stippled finish also does a really good job of concealing bumps and scratches, which is great news for shooters who, like me, subject their guns to the rigours of proper field use. Tweaks have also been made to the proportions of this ambidextrous stock. Now, the underside of the forend has been widened and also adorned with grooves on both sides, which make for a really nice hold with your leading hand. Now, the widening and thickening of the forend also makes life easier if you want to fit a stud for bipod attachment, because there's simply more material to drill into. This stock has a very nice adjustable cheek piece with a black soft touch finish. Now, it's got plenty of up and down travel in it, and that adjustment is just a real asset in achieving correct eye scope alignment with a comfortable gun mount. Having shot this gun pretty extensively on the range and in the field, I can certainly vouch for it being very comfortable in the shoulder. It is nicely balanced and very pointable. Now, the Safari edition measures 940 millimeters and tips the scales at 2.9 kilos before you fit a scope. The Revere Safari edition is fitted with the latest version of Daystate's renowned ART barrel. It is very accurate and less pellet fussy than previous versions. Now, that barrel is 430 millimeters long and sits inside an elegant full-length shroud which is threaded to accept a silencer. The breech block incorporates about 150 millimeters of dovetail rail for scope mounting, and that's obviously punctuated by that raised magazine. Now, also within that block is a very slick side lever action. Now, it's got a really nice drop down handle, and left-handers will be delighted to know that it can be swapped over to the opposite side in just a couple of minutes. Now, whether you're left or right-handed, it is just a very crisp, quick and reliable cocking and loading mechanism. That excellent side lever mechanism drives the latest version of Daystate's self-indexing magazine. Now, it holds 13 pellets in 177, 11 in 22 and 10 in .25. Now, you load it by opening the rear gate and then dropping pellets nose first into the bottom chamber and then rotating around to the next chamber, tensioning the spring as you go. It is a great magazine and very pellet friendly. The trigger is a really nice two-stage unit that features a great blade with a sweeping curve and a wide flat face. Now, it is adjustable, the process is simple and it's clearly described in the manual. This one was brilliant straight out of the box. The comparatively light first stage comes to a clear stop before a crisp and creep-free second stage brake. A manual safety catch is positioned at the rear of the action, sensibly far away from the trigger, but very conveniently positioned to operate with your thumb. Now you push it down to snap it into the safe position and then simply flick it up when you're ready to take the shot. The Safari edition of the Huntsman Revere is available in power configurations up to 40 foot-pounds. Now, this one is a sub-12 model in 177 caliber. Now, it's fitted with a Huma regulator, which means great consistency. Now, it's actually within 5 feet per second over a string of 10 shots, and that's with Rangemaster Sovereign pellets taken straight from the tin. Muzzle energy is a responsible 11.4 foot-pounds. Now, working from a full 250 bar fill, you can expect about 140 shots at that power level in 177 and about 20 more in 2.2, which I think is pretty good for such a sleek gun. Now, regulator pressure is displayed on the gauge on the underside of the forend, and your remaining air supply is shown on the gauge at the front of the cylinder. Refilling with air is a very simple process. Now, the collar at the front of the cylinder serves as a dust cover, and you simply rotate it to reveal the inlet. Then all you have to do is plug in the supplied probe after connecting it to your hose, and you're ready to go. As for accuracy, the Revere is already a proven performer, and I actually think the new stock makes it even easier to shoot with precision. Now, shooting from the support of a bench on the range, sub 20mm groups at 40 metres are a mere formality, and at 30 metres it's more like pellet on pellet. The Huntsman Revere has always been an exceptional shooting machine, and I think the Safari stock and additional tweaks have made it even better. This stock just has a ruggedness about it that makes for a really handsome airgun. When it comes to combining looks and performance, this Daystate is at the top of its game. I'm afraid that's all we've got time for in this week's episode, but as ever, we'll be back again in a fortnight, and in the meantime, you can keep up with me on Instagram at Matt Manning Outdoors. Thank you for watching, and remember, if you aren't already a member of the BASC, have a look at their website and check out the benefits that you could be taking advantage of through Airgun membership.
Don't miss the award-winning Airgun Shooter magazine. It's packed with hunting features, reviews, tactics and insight to help you become an even more successful shooter. Get your copy today in shops or online.